today. Today is January 31st in the year 2022. The last few days and the past week have been hell, temperature-wise. But I have survived. I got another 3 months to go with the unpredictable weather that brings forth unpredictable events, unknown, out of my control. And so I'm glad to be through January, almost, by the end of the day. Actually brings me back to a previous day, because I have stories. Oh, I got stories. This story is about a cold-hearted bitch. And so, 1977, I believe the year was. I would often walk around town where we lived, and people would say, "Hey, Joyce." And I'd have to say, my name's Tammy, and I'll let my cousin know that you said hi. "Oh my God, you look just like Joyce from a distance." My cousin Joyce, her mother and my mother are sisters. And she was 1 year above my sister Kim in school. And so I didn't really, I wasn't close to her. I didn't hang out with her. I've never had any quality time with her. Obviously I just know who she is. And I remember two things in particular about 1977 winter. One was a guy that was in their class, Joyce's class. He was my first date, if you will, Joe Cody. Joe Cody used to come up behind me with his car, slow down, inch up next to me, and then squawk his tires. And one day he said to me, "Hey, do you want to ride? I mean, you look like you could use a ride. Do you want to ride?" And I was like, at first I was like, "No, I don't want to ride from you." And so the second time around, he's like, I really want to give you a ride." And I was, "You really look like you need a ride. I really want to give you a ride." I'm like, "All right, you can give me a ride." So that's how it all started out. And we went on a date. He took me snowshoeing. And right before the date, my sister Kim used to say to me, "Don't you think he's a little bit too old for you?" And she'd say that shit to him in school. "Don't you think my sister's a little too young for you?" And so when he came to the house to meet my mother before we went snowshoeing, she asked my mother if she was going to bring up the topic of age with him. Well, and my mother said no. And she said, "Well, don't you think he's a little too old for her?" And my mother was like, "Just ignore her." And so we went on our snowshoeing date approved by my mother. And it was fun. It was kind of like a day like today. The sun was shining and the snow was, it had that little twinkle to it. But the cold-hearted bitch, I got so many stories. Keep in mind, though, that I have not interfaced with her that much over the past 30-something years, ever since I went in the military. I have not interfaced much with my own family at all. But she is one cold-hearted bitch. And I got a long memory, a verifiable memory, as a matter of fact. So, my cousin Joyce, I don't know what was going on at the time, but I think if I go back on it, people were asking her if me and my sister Tony lived in the same house as Kim. And the reason why they were asking is because my sister Kim always had very nice clothes. And I remember she used to get up and iron her clothes, so there were no wrinkles in her clothes every morning. We had to be out of her fucking way. She had to be in the shower, ironing her clothes and, at school on time. And, if we so much as crossed her in the hallway and got in her way, she had a fucking problem. She was such a bitch, man. Still is. And a cold-hearted bitch. So my cousin Joyce, people in a small town, they take notice to shit. You get 2 kids, 2 females, my oldest sister, my youngest sister, they ain't wanting for nothing, okay? And then here, me and my sister Tony are fucking walking around in rags. And so Joyce got it in her head one day that she was going to clean her room, and all the clothes that didn't fit her or she didn't want anymore, she's going to box them up and give them to me. And I didn't know anything about this, what she was doing. And her sister Mary decided she was going to do the same thing because they were taller than Kimmy and Lissa. They were on the taller side of the world. And so Mary decided she was going to do the same thing and box all her clothes she didn't want anymore or didn't fit her, and that anything that Joyce didn't want, she was going to give it to Tony. So they did that. And so they had these 2 great big boxes all taped up, and on the side they had Tony's name for the box that Mary put together and my name on the box that Joyce put together. And so they bring it to the house, and the only person at our house that day when those boxes came through, that was my sister Kim. And so my mother gets home and we all get home. We know nothing about these boxes, okay? And so then I'm downstairs in the basement doing laundry or something, and I'm coming up over the stairs, and I stop midway because I can hear my mother on the phone. The phone was right on the wall. You come out of much like at other houses, you come out of the basement and you step right into the kitchen. And so she's on the phone with my Aunt Carolyn, and she says, she doesn't know anything about it. She doesn't see these boxes. She's not kidding, but, she'll investigate it and get back to my aunt about it. And I'm like, what's going on? And she started laughing, and she goes, I don't know if Carolyn's playing a joke with me or what, but she said that Mary and Joyce dropped off these 2 boxes of clothes for you and Tony and put them up against the wall in the living room. Do you see any boxes? Or, maybe I'm not seeing them. I'm like, there's no fucking boxes in there. So she calls my aunt back and she says, are you sure? And yeah, they're sure, all right. So what happened to the boxes? And so my mother calls a family meeting and she asks the question, did anybody see 2 boxes that were dropped off earlier today by Mary and Joyce? I'm like, I didn't. I wasn't even here. My sister Tony wasn't there. My sister Melissa wasn't there. My 2 brothers weren't there. My stepfather was working. And so through the process of elimination, my mother's like, Kim, were you here today when Joyce and Mary came here? I'm sure they wouldn't have just walked into the house and put 2 boxes in the living room up against a wall. So finally, she gets it out of my sister that, yeah, she was there when the boxes came through. And she said, "So what happened to the boxes that were right here?" "I don't know." "What do you mean you don't know?" "I don't know." And so finally, my mother says, "I'm going to give you 5 minutes, Kim. I want to know where these boxes are." And she goes, "In the basement." "So why didn't you just tell us that they're in the basement?" "I don't know." "Well, go get them." "Do you need anybody to help you carry them?" "No, I can get them on my own." So she goes down there and brings up two empty boxes. Two empty boxes, okay? And so the box that had my name on it, which was a smaller box, was inside the bigger box that had my sister Tony's name on it. And in between the two boxes, we pulled the top box out, and in between the two boxes, there was one thing left in that box, and it was a leather belt. And I said to my sister Tony, I'm like, "Do you want it? It's in your box." And she goes, "No, you can have it." And I was like, "Mom, can I have this?" And she goes, "Yeah, you can have it." And then she's, made my sister go in the kitchen so that she could have a conversation with her, and we had to stay out of the kitchen. And come to find out, my sister Kim, opened up these boxes that were taped and had my sister Tony's name on one and my name on the other one. They weren't even earmarked for her, okay? So she opens the boxes up, she paws through all the clothes, she determines what would be good for her and what would be good for my sister Melissa, and then she gave the rest of the clothes away to her friends. And she did it all while nobody was home that day. And so we ended up with, the uh, my Aunt Carolyn was pissed off. She said, her thing was, um, those girls spent the entire day thinking they were doing something good. And they were all excited when they brought those boxes down. And now, they didn't go to where they wanted them to go. And so it's just another example. And Joyce was dating this guy. He was really, really smart. They ended up getting married. And his name's Tim. I don't know where he is now. I can't remember his last name. But he was like super, 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 super smart, okay? Like he had it all here, had it all planned out. How he was gonna support him and my cousin and all this other shit. And they got married and they had a house and nice cars and jobs and shit like that. Then they ended up getting a divorce. But my sister Kim used to do this weird shit with him. She'd come up behind him, not walk towards him, and she'd say something to him. It made him crack. She did it so many times. "It must be difficult for you." That's what she said to him. He was this super fucking intelligent, well put together guy, okay? She'd whisper in his ears and say, "It must be difficult for you. It must be difficult for you." And so he started questioning not only himself, but he started questioning what my cousin Joyce was saying to her family about him when she wasn't saying anything about him. And so they ended up getting a divorce. So it's so fucked up. Like you seriously have to have a way to manage these types of women, okay? Because they will, if you don't correct them early on in life, they just continue to go. And they negatively affect all these people, everybody's lives. Everybody's. The shit she has said about me when I haven't even lived home since 1985. You don't know me, bitch. You don't even fucking know anything about me. Like, seriously. You get your nose so shoved up people's asses, orchestrating fucking shit behind my back. And you don't even fucking know me. So fucking what if I'm your sister, or that we grew up in the same fucking household 40, 50 fucking years ago? Whatever. You don't know me, and you have no right to interfere into my life the way you have. Just like she planted the seeds with my kids that I'm mentally ill, and someday they're gonna end up just like me. I'm just wondering the number of people throughout all these time frames that have bought into the shit she says. I mean, that's fucking cold-hearted evil shit. You're an evil bitch. My sister Kim's an evil bitch. Cold-hearted evil bitch. Just letting her know in advance, in case something ever happens. I wouldn't want her to die or anything without knowing the truth.